One day she opened her eyes and found herself in a hospital. Actually, she didn't find it very surprising. Since she has seen this kind of scenario in drama a lot, she had pretty much become desensitized to it. So when the doctors first told her about it, so it has finally come. That was the thought that genuinely crossed her mind. The doctor said that she might experience some memory loss due to the accident, and she could understand that very well. Though it is a bit shocking that she forgot the fact that she's married and has a husband. Amnesia doesn't erase memories by priority, starting with the less important ones. To be honest, she believes this is something everyone should know. But the moment she saw her husband, she recoiled in fear. The fact that the tentacle monster in a suit is her husband, it was completely beyond her comprehension. She sits there, frozen. No matter how she looks at him, he doesn't look human. She has to escape this room without provoking this unknown monster as much as possible. She blurts out that she needs to use the restroom, and when he offers to help, she quickly shakes her head. He reminds her she hurt her head and shouldn't be doing that. As she steps through the door, she mutters, "I'll be back," then immediately scolds herself. What kind of goodbye is "I'll be back"? She rushes down the hallway, determined to find a hospital staff member. Spotting a nurse, she hurries over, grabs her arm and breathlessly says there's a monster in her room, someone pretending to be her husband, but he's not even human. The nurse frowns, trying to make sense of it, and asks if she's saying an unknown person entered her room. She yells no, it's not a person, it's a monster. She knows how crazy it sounds, admits it but insists it's the truth and begs her to call the police. The nurse says she should at least take a look first, and though the girl panics and tells her to just peek through a crack since it could be dangerous, the nurse pushes the door open confidently only to stop cold, hand flying to her mouth as she gasps, "How can someone be this handsome?" She stares at him, stunned, mumbling to herself that he can't be a celebrity, because there's no way she wouldn't know about a celebrity that good looking, and this is a face no one could look away from. The girl stands there, completely thrown, tentacle head. Inside, he asks why they're not coming in, and the nurse sighs, even his voice is perfect. The girl hisses, asking what she's doing and tells her to come out quickly, but the nurse just mumbles, "Why should she?" This is heaven, leaving the girl frozen in absolute shock and thinking, is this something that a sane working adult can say with such confidence? She quietly turns around to leave, certain there's no mistake. She's sure the tentacle monster did something shady and she can't let it happen to her too. This time, she spots a doctor and rushes over, insisting there's a tentacle monster in her room. Moments later, she's seated in the doctor's office as he calmly explains that it seems to be a side effect of her accident. She immediately points at her husband, asking because she had a fall accident and sustained brain damage. Now she is seeing her husband as a tentacle monster. When she asks if he truly looks normal to the doctor, he replies yes. To him he looks completely normal and reassures her it might just be temporary. Staring at a photo of her husband, she sees a real person this time and silently wonders how she ever ended up marrying this absolute beauty. Later, back in her hospital bed, she looks at him and asks how did he end up marrying her? Did she threaten him by taking advantage of his weakness? Amused he says, her threatening him. Before breaking into laughter and adding, if anything, it was the opposite. He chased after her. He kept pestering her just to get him to notice her. He chased and begged to meet her. He tried to entice her to pay attention to him. He acted all sweet for her affection and swept her up in the end. And then they got married. He asks if that answers her question. He then shifts the conversation, reminding her she said he looks like a tentacle monster to her. He asks what exactly does he look like. She replies from his neck down, he looks like a normal person in a suit, but above the neck. She trails off, so he asks again what about it. She admits he has a bunch of tentacles instead of a face. He questions how many. She says looks like 12. He then asks how about the length and thickness. She thinks he is curious about really useless things. But aren't saying they are all different. Some are as thin as a pinky finger, some are thicker than her wrist. It feels like there is some storage space inside his body, so only some of them are visible. They might be extremely long as if they all came out. Once again, he loves making her offended. Here she is trying her best to explain it sincerely. She wonders if he is this happy to look like a tentacle monster. He casually asks which one of the 12 does she like the most. She looks visibly perplexed, wondering what kind of question is that. But then ends up saying maybe the 6th. It looks like it would be very useful for cleaning. He bends down, laughing that she is thinking of cleaning with a monster's tentacle. He then says she makes him lose his mind. She watches him thinking in a normal situation this would be heart-fluttering to hear, but the tentacles look like intestines. She cannot believe her husband looks like a tentacle monster because her brain got injured. How did her normal life become a cosmic horror? At last she ends up thinking, what if her husband looks like a tentacle monster forever? Her eyes remain fixed on the sky, unmoving and distant. It's a strange color, almost as if it shouldn't exist on Earth. But it does exist, and yet it feels like it shouldn't. Seems like something is terribly off. And the buildings that are touched by the color are crumbling. Soon she might end up like that too. But then she spots her husband, and this time, there are no tentacles. Suddenly it disappears, the color that had just swallowed the whole city. Her husband reminds her they promised to live a sweet life together, didn't they? Her eyes shoot open as she jolts out of sleep. Just when the color was about to devour her too, her so-called husband shows up out of nowhere and saves her. All that is left in her mind is his face. Seeing him in person is on a completely different level than just a photo. Frustrated, she muses, why does a man like that look like a tentacled monster only to her? She clutches the side of her head, deciding to look up whether anyone has a condition like hers instead of going to sleep. After checking thoroughly, she finds it. Capgras syndrome. A psychiatric disorder where a close friend or family member is believed to have been replaced by an identical imposter. For example, saying something along these lines, "This man is not my husband, he just looks like him, but he's a different person pretending to be her husband." The reason people believe this is because the brain fails to produce certain chemicals when seeing someone familiar due to a functional impairment. Since they are unable to sense their connection, they register them as a stranger in the same body. This totally sounds like what she has. She wonders if something is wrong with her brain. Maybe her neural wiring is so messed up that when she sees someone she loves, the fear center in her brain is what activates instead. Or maybe, just like the internet says, one of the drugs used during treatment might have caused this. Or maybe this is just a temporary effect because it didn't suit her. If it is really that, then it will resolve itself over time. If she's lucky starting today, maybe he won't look like a tentacle monster anymore. But later, she sits there, thoroughly disappointed. Her husband asks how he looks today, does he still resemble a tentacle monster? She blurts out a planet, then repeats, louder, a freaking planet. He has got a whole planet where his face should be. He asks what's with the awkward formality. She confesses he appeared to her as a great being. She felt it would be disrespectful to speak casually. He laughs, saying that's so creepy and to just talk normally. She admits she doesn't have any memories, so she is not sure what normally means. He says it like it's nothing, then drops a series of curses that could send even a hardened sailor running. He declares there is no one in this whole universe who has cussed him out as much as her. She shrugs, asking why is that? Did he erase everyone else before they had the chance to insult him more? He pauses, making her confused, thinking what was that? She was just joking. Why isn't he saying anything? He smirks and says he supposes he is just that kind of person. He scared her. She thought he was actually mad. Suddenly, the planet's color changes, making her confused. She asks him if it is okay to touch his face. He grabs her hand and guides it towards his cheek. His cheek really feels like a human cheek. Finally, it is sinking in. Something is wrong with her brain. That is why this man's face looks like a whole planet to her. The planet turns pink again. She clicks his picture thinking so this is what he really looks like. She can make out his face with just a touch, but what she sees is still this planet head things. He looks at the picture asking if she got a good picture. Glad she likes the face. He chose it thinking it might appeal to her. She looks up and says he's back to being weird again. Come to think of it, she has been so distracted by how he looks, she has never even asked his name. She asks him what his name is, but suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through her head, making her grab it with a wince. Still clutching her temple, she asks again, more slowly this time, what is his name? He answers, Go Johan. She blinks, watching in disbelief as the color of the planet she sees in place of his face subtly shifts. Then he casually asks if she'd like to be discharged today. She says she supposes she should. He asks why she looks so sad. She sighs and admits, a private room like this, she is just worried about the hospital bill. He asks why would she worry about that? Then, without a word, he pulls out a sleek black card. Her mouth falls open. A black card. He says pretty sure he is not the one paying, anyway. She exhales in sheer relief, prompting him to ask if she's really that happy. Of course she replies. That's one less thing to worry about. He hums thoughtfully. Interesting. She notes that his tone is just as sweet as ever. She then asks if they're going to be seeing a lot of each other from now on. Suddenly, his mood changes. She has lost her memory, so it is a bit awkward now, but she figures over time the emotional distance between them will shrink, and when that happens, someday his face will probably start looking human again. He replies to her earlier question saying exactly they are married after all. When she returns to their home, she stares in disbelief. Is this really their house? He replies yes. Her and him, living sweetly together from today onwards. Her attention then shifts to the perfectly built muscular body in a sharp suit. Veiny, strong hands with a bold watch. The ultimate power combo for a man. He teases if she keeps staring like that he's going to get embarrassed. She starts to say she wasn't, but then trails off thinking why not. He is her husband, so he is hers. Therefore, she gets to look at that body all she wants now. He teases no way she actually hooked up with the planet. Blush rises to her cheeks as she wonders, do exactly what with a planet? And how many times have they done it? He suddenly says she's hilarious. Just what kind of inappropriate thoughts are making her make that face? Flustered, she screams what kind of baseless accusation is that? She has never done anything like that. He counters, is she planning to go on a hip-hop competition show? He will support her no matter what, but rapping might not be her thing. Her lung capacity isn't exactly great. She questions how would he even know her lung capacity. He casually says he has gone deep before and she couldn't last long before gasping for air. She freezes, her eyes instinctively dropping down, and he teases, where is she looking, babe? He was talking about when they kissed. She bares all her teeth in anger. Anyone would think he's deliberately setting her up here. She's not a pervert. She says right now he doesn't even have a tongue, let alone eyes, a nose, or a mouth. He suggests why don't they fix that? Stepping closer to her, he whispers if she cannot see it with her own eyes then she will just have to feel it with her body. She wonders if they're seriously going through with this. Her first kiss will be with a planet. She quickly blurts out, hold on, this just doesn't feel right. Sure, they are married but she doesn't remember any of it and she's not mentally prepared for this kind of contact. Quickly adding, there's a bit of a physical barrier going on too, to be honest. She watches as the planet just stops moving like the whole universe froze. He questions what if, even after they have built enough intimacy, he still doesn't look human to her. What will she do then? She guesses then she will just have to live with it. And if that doesn't work, she will just cover her eyes, her senses of touch still works fine. He remarks that is actually pretty tempting. She instantly takes that back. Suddenly, she spots something behind the plants, her attention shifting in that direction. He notices and asks what she sees, and she replies that it looks like a black cat, then asks if they're the ones raising it. He says it's kind of like a pet, which makes her pause in confusion, wondering what kind of even means in this context. Before she can ask, he gently pulls her closer by the shoulder and tells her not to freak out if Sean suddenly disappears. It likes hiding in places she can't see. It especially hates sunlight, so she probably won't see it during the day. He states he will handle feeding it so she doesn't have to do a thing. She soon forgets about the cat, her attention drifting as she starts looking around, only to realize that luxury brands are everywhere. Come to think of it, as she catches his reflection in the mirror, she notices that he still looks like a planet in the glass. Her eyes suddenly widen and he notices, asking is something wrong? She swallows and says no. Later, she wonders if the brain just ignores mirror reflections too. The after effects are seriously terrifying. He shows her something on the phone and says he was 2 years ahead of her in school. She really doesn't remember. She snaps out of her thoughts and asks they went to the same high school. He states she has forgotten everything about him. She watches all his pictures, unable to believe she has zero memory of any male upperclassman like him. She apologizes to him. He remarks if he's a teacher or something. That polite tone really throws him off, which makes her ask how did she talk to him before. He replies casual speech was the baseline, even curse words. She thinks so that scene at the hospital was the regular. She looks a little worried as she asks if he's saying he is 2 years older than her, but casual speech and curse words were often used. He replies it does sound like a hard time and he is quite regretful now. She doesn't know to what extent that treatment went into their relationship, but it must have been bearable if she married him, right? She hesitantly holds out her pinky finger, asking him to promise he won't mess with her anymore. She doubts they would have ended up together if a certain line had been crossed. He laughs, but then interlocks his pinky with hers and says, promise. He admits it was fun but it left a bitter aftertaste, so much so that even if she begged him to mess with her now, he wouldn't be able to. She shifts the conversation again, asking if they've known each other since high school, were they dating back then? He replies not at all. She hated him. She didn't even realize he liked her. She asks then how did they end up together? He simply replies he figured it out. She questions so her hating wasn't a problem. He claims she ended up liking him anyway. That anyway stings, like her feelings never mattered to him. Well, it is not like this guy knows everything. Only she knows how her feelings changed. She then asks what happened to the company she worked for. Did someone at least call and that she wouldn't make it? But he reveals she quit her job after getting married. That makes sense. She wanted to flee from that company as soon as possible. They would make her work overtime more often than not. Contacted her to come to work on weekends and holidays. And she never gored more than a pitiful salary. In other words, it was the worst company. He asks, was it that bad? Why didn't she say something during her time there? He would have fixed it. She questions she worked at a company where he was the CEO. But that is impossible. She remembers the boss at her company was a middle-aged man in his 50s. He notes she doesn't look like she believes him, and offers to show her the application form. Her husband remembers, got into a top art school in Seoul, majored in visual design, joined his company the year she graduated, hired as a promising young graphic designer. But the her she remembers, was completely different. Just scraped into some Everett Seoul University based on entrance scores. Suffered through a math major that didn't suit her and barely made it to graduation. Submitted resumes to every place under the sun just to finally land a crappy job. She knows they're way too different to even be considered the same person. He tells her it looks like she's the one mixing up memories. The way he says makes her realize he's telling her all those memories were fake. The night she cried her eyes out because she ended up at a school she didn't want in a major she hated. The days she worked like a dog at work because she had nowhere to go. Doing just enough to get by. All of it. Then who the hell is she? He quickly pulls her into his arms, telling her it is okay. He knows her. If there's anything she doesn't know, she can just ask him. He knows everything about her. She returns the hug, wondering if this is what it feels like to receive salvation from Apostle John. After she calms down, the hug feels kind of awkward to her. He pulls back and asks if she's feeling better now. She looks flustered and replies yeah, but then she points at the cufflinks on his sleeves, which seems to have disappeared. She's sure just a moment ago they were buttoned up so neatly. He says he took them off when he went to grab her application from the study. And is surprised that she even remembered what they looked like. Later that night, she's caught in the middle of a nightmare, her breaths shallow and restless, but when her eyes snap open, the first thing she sees is Sean. She calls out to the cat but it ignores her, making her think it nodded the moment Johan called her yesterday, but now it is ignoring her. She asks Sean where its manners are, but the cat's fur suddenly bristles, and then it jumps onto the bed. Just then, Johan enters the room and asks if she's awake. She eyes him and asks why he's so dressed up first thing in the morning, wondering aloud if he's going somewhere. He replies that no, other than accompanying her to the hospital, he has nothing else planned. The cat shifts slightly, now looking a little on guard. Johan asks how he looks today. She squints at him and remarks that his head is a flower bed, then quickly adds that she doesn't mean his brain looks like a garden or anything, but that there's literally a full-on flower bed growing out of his neck. She thinks to herself that the tentacles and planets were surreal enough to roll with, but somehow, ordinary flowers sprouting from his neck feel even weirder. She grabs her phone, snaps a picture, and blushes while staring at the screen, thinking that he's exactly her type. Johan gently places a hand over her phone and tells her not to fall just for the person on the screen, he wants her to love the real him too. She looks startled and he softly asks if that's too much, then wonders if it's because he doesn't look human. She hesitates before admitting that having no eyes, nose, or mouth is kind of a lot. He points out it would probably be creepier if a flower did have eyes, a nose, and a mouth. She imagines that possibility and he looks very weird to her. The idea of the regular flower with a human face slapped on it is seriously disturbing. He goes on, telling her to imagine a flower having its mouth and rambling on, sticking out a tongue and begging her for kisses. She would honestly prefer with a tentacle that had eyes. She then fixes him with a glare, asking why is he torturing her like this first thing in the morning. He explains that compared to that he's not so bad so she can try to find him cute. She realizes she will have to adjust. She might have to live like this for the rest of her life. For all she knows, she ends up saying she will try. He then asks her if she was able to sleep comfortably. She replies she knocked out and how about him. He admits not really, he missed having her next to him. She steps out, muttering there are only 2 people living here but there are a ton of bedrooms. Where are they supposed to sleep? He casually says wouldn't it get boring doing it in the same bed every night? She turns around, shooting him a glare and declares they are sleeping separately. He pinches her cheek and admits she wanted to sleep alone sometimes, said he was too clingy. But she was always too exhausted to make it to another bed. So she would just pass out next to him. Her face turns red as the hidden meaning hits her. She then says her energy is running a bit low lately. She guesses she should start working out more. He says if he does, he will be grateful. She wonders why the hell would he be grateful. She then shifts the conversation saying Sean is gone somewhere, she wanted to cuddle with it. But Johan sits next to her and says he wouldn't recommend that really. She might get traumatized. She wonders why would cuddling a cat traumatize her. He also lets her know if Sean starts ignoring her or doesn't behave, she should tell him she will snitch to him. She thinks no matter how smart the cat is, there is no way he would understand something that complicated, but her husband insists to try it when the time comes. She reluctantly ends up saying yes. He mentions he will go get breakfast ready and tells her to freshen up and join him soon. Before leaving, he presses a kiss to the back of her hand, calling it her good morning kiss for the day, then adds with a teasing glint that tomorrow, it'll be somewhere else so she'd better be prepared. She gasps, caught off guard, while he quietly walks out. Flustered, she sinks onto the bed, thinking he's gotten the better of her again. The scent of flowers brushes past her senses, and she stiffens. The blossoms on Johan's head were just hallucinations her brain conjured, so why does their scent linger? But when she leans into it again, it's already gone. She wonders if something like that is even possible, a question she later brings up at her appointment. The doctor confirms that it is. When she steps out, her husband immediately asks if she explained her condition clearly to the doctor and what his response was. The doctor said it could be temporary or it could be permanent. They need to monitor a little longer before they can tell. Luckily, there are no issues with the other brain functions. Either way, they should run some tests. He said something like that. The doctor kept talking in circles, so she didn't really get anywhere. Johan remarks that at least it isn't anything serious and calls that a relief. She wonders if that's truly all he has to offer on the matter, but he shifts the mood, suggesting that now that it's behind them, they should head out, and casually inquires whether she still has any energy left in her. She admits she's a bit tired and questions his sudden interest. He says he was about to propose a little fun, either they get lovey-dovey at home or get lovey-dovey outside. Which one does she prefer? She takes a moment to weigh his words. She ponders that going out right now seems a bit exhausting. She tells him if they are going to get lovey-dovey at home, then what are they even doing? Johan asks her if she wishes to watch that movie she mentioned last night. She thinks about it and then decides to get home. In the parking lot a guy stands there and calls out to her. He introduces himself as Nia, the CEO's personal secretary. She ponders that she remembers they met on the day she first went to Johan's house after getting discharged. When they came it was just the two of them. She wonders if Johan called him because he didn't feel like driving on the way back. Johan notices her and calls out to her. He tells her if she keeps sneaking glances at other guys he'll be jealous. Nia is totally shocked as he thinks that they say that love is blind, but it's too much that she wonders if it's really okay to grumble like that right now in front of his boss. She notices that Johan doesn't even seem to care. She sits in the car and wonders what is even this dynamic. In the car Johan asks her if she wishes to know his relationship with Nia. He tells her it's nothing and that he is just an errand boy. She feels uncomfortable and nervous and also thinks that for just an errand guy he sure badmouths Johan right in his face. He also tells her that she is the only one in this world who has anything close to a relationship with him. She ponders if that means his parents aren't around anymore. She guesses that she should treat him a little better. She asks him if he is still watching the movie. He responds yes. She questions if they have to be in this situation. He gets too close as he tells her that they always watched movies like this. He mentions that there has got to be a reason for all this. He reminds her the way she kisses cute animals and messes with them for no reason. She wonders when did she ever even do that. Later he asks her if she wishes to watch another movie. She tells him no, knowing that she couldn't even focus on the movie because she was too worried about what he might do next. She stretches around as he asks what's wrong and if she is sore. She tells him she is a little and she thinks that she was stuck in the same position for too long. He tells her that she is seriously so fragile. He tells her that her body is a mess and asks her how does she live like that. He grabs her hand telling her to lie down and that he'll take care of it. She tells him that he doesn't have to go that far. He makes her lie down while she wonders if this is really okay. He asks her what's bothering her. He touches her back while she states that she thinks she tensed her shoulders too much. Her lower back is a little sore too. He tells her she has got it. He massages her while she tells him that he's applying too much force and that he should do it lighter. He asks her if that hurts. She ponders that it hurts like hell. She thinks that her shoulder was about to snap off. He looks at her state and realizes this isn't good. She trembles and wonders, was there such a big difference between a man's and a woman's strength? Or is Johan just freaking strong? He does it again while she ponders that it doesn't hurt as much as it did before, but it still hurts way too much. She grabs onto him asking him to go ever lighter. He asks her why is she being so cute right now. He tells her that she is making this difficult, she's making him want to tease her again. She reminds him that he promised to not mess with her anymore. He responds he knows he did and states this time he will try to be as gentle as possible. He asks her how is it now? Is it better now? She tells him it's bearable. He tells her he will be more careful from now on. He tells her that she is way more fragile than he had expected and if he didn't hold back it could be a disaster. She thinks about it, pondering that she is a human being too. It's not like she'll fall apart the second he lets his guard down. She then asks him something. She questions that he has never been charged with assault, right? He laughs and tells her he has no criminal record so she should relax. He gets close to her and tells her that he swears sometimes he wants to open her head and see what is going on inside. She tells him to not even dream about it as she plans on dying healthy and in one piece. He questions so she doesn't want to live long and healthy but just die healthy. She tells him that she really doesn't want to live that long but she doesn't want to die young either. All she wishes for is a nice average lifespan. He asks her so she doesn't want to live even a healthy long life or a healthy short life but just a healthy mid-length life. She tells him if she makes it through her perfectly average healthy life and she is still alive. She mentions that she will let him crack open her skull and take a peek so if he wishes to see inside her brain he will just have to outlive her. He tells her to stop, she is making him feel weird. He tells her he was just joking as she looks at him with a stunned expression. She asks him if she hurt his feelings, stating that she'll take it back. She tells him that she wasn't serious either, her head is too precious. She ponders that he is more imaginative and sensitive than he lets on. He asks her what if she could live forever without aging or dying. He asks her if she would still choose her healthy mid-length life. She thinks about it. She knows not aging sounds great but living forever is a bit much. She mentions even if the outside doesn't age she wouldn't be able to take it on the inside. He asks her the inside. She responds that she is talking about her mindset. She is not particularly strong-witted and she doesn't have any grand ambitions that would make her want to live forever. She'd just end up being bored and not just her, most people would go insane. He asks her really. He smirks and mentions that he thinks her mental fortitude is stronger than she gives it credit for. He cooks something for her as she tells him that next time she'll cook for sure. He reminds her that she is supposed to be resting. She tells him that she is totally fine and she can cook so there is no problem. He asks her why, asking if the food he made is that bad, like totally inedible. She tells him it was good but it had a different vibe from the usual delicious taste, definitely not the taste of something her mom would make or like what she gets in the restaurant. Maybe more like it came from a lab. Like a machine carefully measured out the ingredients and processed them. She asks Johan if he doesn't like the food that much. He tells her if he had to say he doesn't hate it he just doesn't really see the point of it. That explains why it tasted a bit soulless. Since she got discharged every meal she has had has been cooked by Johan. He asks her if she could actually taste that. She tells him yes and asks if the food needs soul to taste good. If it's technically perfect, who cares if it doesn't have a soul? A perfect imitation is no different from the real thing. While she is eating her food she looks at the window and notices a giant monster glaring at her. She drops her fork and wonders what in the world is that. Johan asks her what's wrong but she is too stunned. She points at the window but he asks her to look at him. He holds her asking what's on the window. Panicking she blurts out there is some giant fish monster outside. Not a full-on fish but more like a merman, like a giant fish-human hybrid or something. He asks her to take a deep breath before telling her to look at the window again and asks her if it is still there. This time it's not there. He reminds her that they are on the top floor of the building. She realizes that she must have been seeing things. She wonders what the heck is going on. If she is still experiencing side effects from the accident. She thinks that her brain is probably still scrambled. He reminds her that there is a movie they watched recently. It was a horror movie and the monster she mentioned was in that movie too, so maybe her subconscious is still holding on to the fear from it. He asks her if she remembers when she was little and saw a horror movie and then ran to her parents' room at night because she hallucinated the ghost from it. She asks if she told him about that too. He tells her she did and that he knows everything about her. The Dragon movie was based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft, a horror film about a dragon, a monster from the Cthulhu mythos. She mumbles that she isn't even a kid anymore to think she watched a horror movie and got so scared it traumatized her. She finds it embarrassing. She is unable to sleep and gets out of the room. She notices Johan and asks him if he is still awake. He asks her if she can't fall asleep, asking if she can't fall asleep because of the dragon that she mentions if he is busy she'll go, but he grabs her telling her to stay with him as he isn't busy. She sits on the bed with him and ponders that she can't believe she is sitting on a bed with a man she barely knows. He touches her hair stating that her hair are messy so he will fix it for her. She tells him thanks and ponders that it's too awkward, wondering if it's because she has never been this close to a man before. She knows it's not like she deliberately avoided being in a relationship, but just getting through each day was hard enough. She suddenly feels something and wonders what was that just now. She curses him. Her life has been nothing but peaceful, completely smooth sailing. So dull and uneventful that when she first woke up in the hospital and they told her she had amnesia, she actually thought, finally something straight out of a drama was happening to her and just rolled with it. Johan asks her why so serious. What is she thinking about? She replies she's not being serious. But, he points out, she has got a face like the world's about to end. She knows even if she worries herself sick, the world is not going to fall apart. He says why not? The whole world could end just because of her. She thinks about his words. That would give her some serious guilt. She mumbles she would rather die instead. He says she cannot. Is she seriously going to leave him alone to suffer? He suddenly lays down and pulls her closer, suggesting why doesn't she lie down too? Blush rises to her cheek. She wonders why did she end up marrying a guy like this? Handsome, capable and considerate. It all feels too good to be true. At night she asks him is he sure it is okay? He has already missed work for a few days because of her. He replies it is a world where remote work's always an option. What is there to worry about? She says she's just worried, that is all, to which he assures her not to be. Everything is totally fine. Her eyes look droopy, so he suggests sleeping like this. She questions together. He replies yes, just holding hands. She thinks sleeping while holding hands should be fine. But late at night, she wonders, why cannot she fall asleep? Is it because they're too close? He suddenly says at this rate, she'll fall off the bed. He suddenly presses a kiss to her neck, and her eyes fly open. That was his lips, wasn't it? Before she can even process the thought, she feels the warm brush of his tongue against the same spot. Her mind races, what is she supposed to do? Should she just keep pretending to sleep? But then, without meaning to, a small sound escapes her lips. She instantly freezes. Did he hear that? He asks softly if she's awake. Stay calm, she tells herself. People make noises in their sleep all the time, and that moan earlier too, she could blame it on being half asleep. She forces herself to act asleep. He smirks saying so she is asleep, good. It would have been a shame to stop there. He then taps her on the back, jolting her awake and bursts into laughter. Annoyed, she gets out of bed and declares that she's going to sleep in the other room. She wonders if this guy sold his conscience to outer space or something. But this time he promises he won't do anything and insists she comes back. She questions why would she believe that. Reminding him, he said they would just hold hands and sleep. He replies that is all he did, held her hand. Until she fell asleep. But she says she's done talking and turns to leave, prompting him to call out, asking if she's already going. She snaps that he must think she's stupid, she's not falling for the same trick twice. This time, he offers to promise to hold her hand until she wakes up, but she simply says good night and storms out of the room. Back in her own room, she thinks to herself that she nearly gave in to temptation. Come to think of it, she had been too scared earlier to even fall asleep. Blushing, she wonders if he actually planned that whole thing from the start. The next day, after freshening up, she comes out of the bathroom only to find him. His head today looks like the box from The Little Prince. She eyes him closely, wondering if there is a sheep inside this one too. He asks her what is she doing. She replies there was a hole in the front of the box, so she was peeking inside. He realizes that today he looks like a box and teases then shouldn't he be able to open him from the top. He tells her to try opening it since she is so curious about what is inside. She eyes him with a blank expression, trying to guess what might be inside. The sheep the little prince wanted? Or maybe the cat Schrödinger stuck in for his experiment? Then again, this might not be the box from the Little Prince or Schrödinger. The air grows tense as the thought crosses her mind, what if this is Pandora's box? Would she even be able to handle it? He asks, isn't she going to open it? Doesn't she want to know the secret inside? It feels like that's exactly what he's asking her. Now that she thinks about it, there's something more important. But he keeps circling back to the same point, so she's really not going to open it. She asks what if a clown doll pops up out like a jack-in-the-box? She might straight up pass out from the shock. She lets him know she doesn't dig up truths she cannot handle. Some things are better off sealed inside the box forever. As he moves closer, she scowls and tells him not to sneak up on her like they are close. He pretends to be wounded, saying that last night was enough to make her lose all faith in him. With something hidden behind his back, he adds that he's actually brought a bribe to make up for it. Could she let him off the hook just this once? When he finally reveals what he's holding, it turns out to be a mat with a character stitched onto it. She asks what it's supposed to be, a cutesy but failed attempt at a character. He replies that it's a dragon. The same freaky thing she saw yesterday. He admits the more he thought about it, the more it pissed him off that it scared his baby like that, so he caught it and stuffed it in it. From now on she can step on it and wipe her feet on it. She watches it, swallowing. It's so disturbing. But whatever it looks like, what matters is that he went out and found the first thing in the morning just to cheer her up. She sighs and says fine, just this once, stepping onto the mat, causing Sean to leap back in alarm. She remembers how terrified she had been all night because of that thing, and now Sean looks like his little heart's about to burst while she stomps on the mat to her heart's content. Suddenly, the cat scrambles up Johan's shoulder for safety, and she wonders if her tap dancing was really that traumatic. She mutters that Sean probably wasn't supposed to witness that and tries to explain she doesn't usually act like this, he shouldn't get the wrong idea, but Sean bolts, clearly freaked out. Johan bursts into laughter, which makes her snap at him to stop unless he wants to end up with abs. He tells her it's already too late, he already has them. She replies flatly, good for you, though inwardly she wonders what that even feels like. Then, without warning, he asks if she wants to take a look and starts lifting his shirt. Flustered, she tells herself to stay classy and quickly insists she's not curious. He teases that for someone not curious, her eyes are practically dripping with it. She protests that he's slandering her and asks what kind of person he thinks she is. He says in that case, the reveal will have to wait. She nearly looks disappointed, and he teases that if she's that let down, she could always just ask. She snaps that she's not disappointed, though privately wonders if it would kill him to just take it off without asking. He then announces that he's going to get some breakfast ready. After he leaves, it occurs to her he's seriously leaving just because she played hard to get for 1 second. She decides to fix up the welcome mat and head out as well. Over breakfast, she's surprised to find soufflé pancakes on the table and asks how he manages to make them so perfectly round, quickly adding if he's secretly the human embodiment of a compass or something. He tells her that's not going to happen, she would get scared. She asks if she told him that too. He simply replies that he knows everything about her. The words pull her back to the moment when he had told her it was okay, that he remembered her. She realizes he really does know everything. Now that she thinks about it, was he always the one who cooked? He says no, they used to have a live-in staff handling housework, but he figured out she'd get anxious with strangers coming and going, so he's doing the cooking for now. The cleaning happens while they're out. She insists he doesn't have to, he has a company to run, but he tells her he just wants some time alone with her and asks if she's going to take that away from him. She questions how long they're even going to be alone, and he casually says 100 years or so, making her wonder if this man is completely insane. She asks what about his company, and he says it's just a decoration he put together because he needed a decent business card. If it went bankrupt tomorrow, it wouldn't matter. She thinks this won't do and says she wants to see his company. That makes him pause. She reminds him he said she used to work there before they got married, and maybe it'll help jog her memory. He says that's not a bad idea, why don't they go after breakfast? A little outdoor date, he adds, already sounding excited. She wonders when visiting the office as a CEO turned into a date and tells him she was only planning to look around the office, nothing else. And yet, later, she's sitting on top of him, completely flustered, wondering how on earth it ended up like this. In the car she finally asks him, isn't he tired of this? Pointing out he has been holding her hand this whole time. He says why not? They are cute, small, soft and delicate. She nervously glances at the driver telling him to stop saying weird stuff like that. They're not even alone right now. He challenges so if they were alone, would it be fine? She says sure. Now he has the urgent urge to toss this guy out of the car. Freaking out, she tells him if he throws a person out of a moving car, they will die, that he simply says people die don't they? The atmosphere around Mr. Nia grows tense, prompting her to whisper in his ear, asking what is wrong with him. He replies he's separated from his wife, so maybe he's getting jealous that they're getting along. He finally says they are making it really hard to believe he is not a fool, especially when they are spouting nothing but nonsense. Johan says and yet he cannot even grasp what's in that very idiot's head. He mutters. Forget it, what is the point in talking to a blind idiot? This shocks her. Are they seriously a boss and his subordinate? When she arrives at the company, she is shocked, asking if he is really the CEO of this company. With a company this big, why isn't he reporting to work? Doesn't he have to manage his employees? He replies he can work from home. He pulls her closer, saying the only thing he needs to take care of in the whole universe is her. He then guides her to his office. He realizes he has a bed in here and mutters she wouldn't mind living here. He says it's funny how she doesn't remember much, yet the place still feels familiar to her and admits they used it quite a bit. She used to come here all the time. He starts to say they used to do something right there, but she immediately panics, blurting out a startled, "What?" He carries on casually, saying that before she lost her memory, they used to have some very intense moments in this exact spot, in broad daylight, while others were working themselves to the bone. She looks visibly disturbed, and he mutters that, judging by her expression, it's probably not her style. What a shame. He then says whenever she was tired, she would lie down here to rest, which only makes her fume, prompting him to ask why she's glaring at him like that. Suddenly, she flashes a smile and still seated tells him to come over for a second. When he does, she lunges, tackling him and climbing on top of him, only to freeze at the awkward angle, realizing she acted on impulse. Now that she's here, what exactly is she supposed to do? He looks a little too excited and asks what she's planning to do now that she's climbed on top of him. She hurriedly blurts out that she thought maybe it would help jog her memory, then scrambles off him just as fast. He asks if lying there helped bring anything back, but she flatly says nope. Johan suggests they go visit the team she used to work with. Later she stands in the shower, thinking how none of it brought anything back. No memories, irritation, butterflies, or nervousness. Absolutely nothing. How could she possibly not feel anything at all? It is almost like she has never been here before. As she steps out of the shower, she glances around the room and calls out for Johan, wondering aloud where he's gone. Before she can take another step, he suddenly appears without a sound, making her flinch in surprise. She recoils slightly, it's clear he startled her. She mutters that normal people don't just sneak up on others without making a sound. He casually says since she was looking for him, he simply popped over with a little teleportation. Then, as if nothing just happened, he asks what she wanted. She says she was just wondering what exactly is going on between him and Mr. Nia. He reminds her he's already told her there's nothing between them. But she's not quite satisfied. She points out that for two people with nothing between them, they seem to talk pretty freely. Johan explains they've known each other for a long time. Mr. Nia may be a bit loose-lipped, but he gets the job done. If he had to define him, he would say he's more like a loyal dog. She questions how could he refer to a person as a dog. He states that he didn't make it up, that is what everyone else calls him. He takes the towel from her hands and gently begins drying her hair, his movements so careful it makes her frown. She mutters under her breath that at this rate, her hair's never going to dry. He calmly replies that she's so fragile, he has to be gentle. Even with her hair. She turns to him, eyes narrowing, and tells him to stop calling her a dog, okay? He says if she doesn't like it, he won't do it. Then, without warning, he leans in and drops a kiss on her cheek. Her entire face flushes scarlet as he straightens up and casually adds that he almost forgot, he hadn't given her a good morning kiss yet. She curses under her breath, thinking to herself that his honesty is exactly the problem, it's just a little too much. Later that night, she twists in her sleep, caught in the grip of a nightmare. Where is she? What are these things? What's even happening right now? And that concludes the video today. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want another part.